Hello, and welcome to Monday Night Therapy. I'm Minnie Hunt, and I am just by myself tonight, which is kind of a rarity, but we are expecting some guests tonight to pop in. And I just have to tell you guys, I love, before we even start the show, there is a live chat going on, and it is awesome to see just everybody get together and they're basically like high-fiving each other in the chat, and I love that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and say hello to some people. Highlander Gunn is here. He's first, and then Roger Moore. He says a wise man said the true first is third. But okay, this is confusing because the next message is Fred Sacco, and he says he's second, but not in order. So I don't know how this happens. But I got Pitt Snipe Husker says, I get here when I get here, always on time. Yeah, I know that. And then Husker Chuck says, early for a change. And look at this. This is so nice. You guys are awesome. Justin Raji, go big red. And then I love this. Pitt Snipe says, all right, Chuck, Sack, Gunn, and Roger are here. We got a Mensa meeting going on tonight. Does that include me? And Tony's here for the besmirching of Wisconsin. Okay, I just put in the chat a live stream link. I know I've been through it before. It's really easy to do. You just, if you're watching this on your phone, you just click on the link in the chat and it will take you to a StreamYard. Actually, you know what? I bet I could do this with you guys. And it will take you to a stream. Let me just turn down so you just click on that guy and you just decide, okay, I'm going to go into Chrome, and then it says you're entering the studio. I don't know, can you see it? Okay. Wait, this isn't working for me. So how is it going to work for you guys? Hold on, try it again. I'm going to try it in Safari. That might have been it. Yep, that's it. Okay, so I clicked on Safari, and this is what the screen looks like. And then I have to access my mic and camera. It does that, and then look. That's the screen that you can actually click on that says, okay, if you don't want a camera, you just say stop camera. See that? Right there. It's that middle button. And then you just type your name, and then you hit enter studio. It's that easy. So you are welcome to join. I hope you guys do. We have some things to talk about first. Hi, Joseph. He's always in chat talking about wrestling. Okay, so you guys are actually in for a treat because I did some research. This is a very special Monday Night Therapy. And I'll tell you why. I did some piecing of the puzzles today. I don't know. Do you guys like jigsaw puzzles? I love jigsaw puzzles. I hate when they're 50,000 pieces, but I do like, a couple, maybe 1,000. And I was piecing together some puzzles for us. It is not the knee circumference edition puzzle. It is not. But you guys, I don't know if you caught the title or not. The Nebraska's off-season training edge. And what I mean by that is by piecing together these puzzle pieces that, we have very limited access to, what the football program is willing to let us know. But if you pay attention and are taking notes, it will pay off because I figured out between Dylan Raiola's, his interviews that he gave at the podium and Matt Rhule's interview last week with Jessica Cootie, we have a new look for our Nebraska Cornhuskers football team. It's a new look in leadership and what they believe it's going to take to win a national championship. Hi, Vince. And no, I mean, I guess, yeah, pants are optional. You're at home, but if you want to be on camera, I think you should put your pants on. What? Pitt, I'm envying Minnie's modern technology. My iPhone 4 is due for an upgrade. Oh, man. Yeah. But you know what? You did it before, and I think it worked out perfect. So jump on in, and I'll put it in the comments one more time, just in case it flew by. Somebody wasn't there. There's the link if you guys want to get on. So Matt Rhule said, leadership has to decide as a group, who do we want to be and how good we want to be. That's what he said last week. And then he said, then they need to do the things that are unrequired, the extra things. Husker Chuck says, I like puzzles with one piece. That's not a puzzle, okay? Just stay with me. Stay with me, guys. And he says, the coaches can't be the ones doing that. And then I put this in my notes in bold print, all caps. So this is important. Summer determines the type of season that you have. Let me say that one more time. Summer determines the type of season that you have. And I don't know about you, but I just kind of thought that, everybody was on vacation during the summer. And I think for a lot of years, that's what we were doing. Except for obviously the summer camp, but summer determines the type of season that you have. So what does that mean? How does that look? He said that we have a player-led group. They built their own leadership groups. Now there's the key right there. They built their own leadership groups. So I'm like, what does that mean? So I go back to April 24th, and Dylan, I think it was like right around the spring game, right before the spring game, he was at the podium and he said, there's certain things that need to be changed. The most important things that we have are unity and bonding. And then that's when he called out, he goes, yeah, there's when he's asked all these questions about leadership, he goes, yeah, there's about 6 or 7 guys on the team that are leaders. And then somebody said, can you name those guys? And he goes, yeah, off the top of his head, he's like Henry Latovsky, Justin Evans, Mar Watson, Gage Stenger, Dane Key, Cam Lenhart, and himself. So that's 7 guys. What that actually ends up being is 3 guys on offense and 3 guys on defense, and him as the quarterback, obviously. So there's 7 leaders. And 3 of them are seniors, 3 of them are juniors, and then him also as the sophomore. And Dylan said on April 24th, this is when you win championships. We had a meeting and we decided we'll take 4 or 5 days off in May. And after that, we want to roll. So when we get back to June, we're not trying to catch up or get back in shape and stay ahead of the chains and make strides. They're looking to maximize every opportunity. And I really thought that was telling, because it seems to me that all this extra stuff that they're doing, they have leaders in place, guys in charge of other guys. And that's what Matt Rhule said. He said, when you look back as a coach and you are able to hand the team over to the team In other words, you hand the team to the leaders and then they take it from there. And that's what he's been looking to do. And it seems like that's the process that has been put in place. And it's really exciting because I also wanted to make another point that Dylan is doing extra training. And we know what that looks like, the boxing. And I'm going to go into that in a little bit. I just want to see if there's any comments about that so far. Is anyone picking up what I'm laying down? Let's see here. Like this. Pit Snipe Husker says, I like it too, Joseph. It feels like Rhule is looking for every inch, and I am all for that. Fred. Is that like one host's unrequited love for Dylan? No. This is what is going on right underneath our noses. Guys, did anyone catch this? Because it's been said to us in other press conferences, and I didn't realize it till I was doing some digging. Of course, you're always digging whenever it's off season. But I thought, now that is really, really interesting. They're not taking time off. They took 4 or 5 days off. And I remember in previous seasons, I would see posts on Instagram from ex-Huskers that are no longer on the team, because they graduated. And they would be like golfing here in Arizona on vacation. So that's kind of what I was looking for. And it turns out that the team as a whole has basically decided we're not taking a vacation. We'll take 4 or 5 days, but we're all coming back. We're all staying at it. We're all going to, keep in shape. They're doing activities together where they don't talk about football. So they have that bonding. And yeah, they're just working on plays. They're doing probably running their own. I'm guessing they would be running their own type of practices. So I think it's really interesting. Pit Snipe says, I agree, Minnie. Dylan is cooking this off season. Take away his car keys and lock him in the facility. That's right. That is absolutely right. Take away the car keys. Yeah. Fred says, it sounds like peer leadership has taken hold in season 3. Hasn't it? This is so exciting, you guys. I mean, given all the tools that they have been given as, Cornhusker football players, that's not enough. You have to look for every single opportunity. And one of the things that Rhule said, going back to the bowl game, is that every guy that they took to New York, they were there for a week, they didn't have one discipline problem, not one even minor problem. And these guys, they're teenagers in New York City. And there wasn't one kid that got even a little bit out of line. And he said it's because they're all grateful to be there. They all worked hard and they're happy for the opportunity to be there. And I just was like, yeah, that's like really hard to do. So what? I don't know. This is a good question. Pit Snipe Husker says, when will we get rid of these coaching time restrictions? I mean, do you guys even want to go there? Do you want to talk about what's going on with the college football? What is it that Trump is putting in place with Nick Saban and Cody Campbell? I mean, it sounds like there's at least going to be some people overseeing some of these rules. So I think that is a good thing. Either there's rules in place and there's actually going to be fines or things that they can do to, if they don't follow the rules. Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to talk about it? Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see here. This is on another sheet of paper. Oh, you know what? This is in another notebook altogether. Hold on. So what's interesting about this is, well, number one, this Cody Campbell, you guys know who he is? He's a billionaire from Texas, and he went to Texas Tech. He was a football player there. He's pretty young. He's like under 40, and uh, loves football. Him and his business partner both played football in Texas, and they, yeah, that's basically what he lives for. So I think it's pretty good to have somebody like him who's actually really good at business, the business side of it. They're going to be co-chairs, Nick Saban and him. As well as there's, hold on. I just need to find the right sheet where I wrote these notes. So sometimes I'm just writing. I don't think I'll use it, so that's why I don't have it ready to go. Anyways, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it today. Like something looks familiar, and then I'm like, nope, that's not it. My Matt Rhule speeches. Yeah, no. All right, I lied. That's about all the extent that I can give you guys because I didn't prepare for that. But we're going to get more information for sure. Yeah, co-chairs. Cody, I just forgot his last name. Campbell, Cody Campbell. So him and his business partner, they own what's called Double Eagle, which is like it's an oil company. They own like right after college, he went to work for a real estate agent, and then the real estate business, went belly up, and the guy that he worked for said you should look at doing something else. And so him and this guy that he knew from like junior high and elementary school and even college, they decided to start a company where they were buying up these small little parcels of land in Texas, and now they own like the biggest amount of oil drilling. So anyways, that's how he made his billions. And yeah, basically, I mean, everything you read about this guy, he has like two passions, his business and football. Sounds like a pretty good pairing to me. And what are you doing? Fred Sacco says, I'm telling Greg that Minnie wasn't prepared. Gonna be a long 5-heart theater on Thursday. I was. Honestly, you know what? I just remembered. Fred, Chad, everybody out there, I forgot. I actually put it in my notes. I typed it out. So here's the scoop. I forgot. I already had it ready. So, Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, said, I think the fact that there's an interest on the executive side on this, I think it speaks to the fact that everybody is paying a lot of attention right now to what's going on in college sports. He was a Republican governor of Massachusetts. I didn't know that. But then he says, there's a lot going on. That's not all bad. And I'm up for anything that helps us get somewhere. So he's very open-minded to, getting help. I think that's kind of a cry for help. He says that creating clarity, this was Senator Tommy Tuberville, who Nick Saban has been working with. He's a senator from Alabama. He's not going to be involved, he's not a co-chair, but he's been one of the people, pounding the drum in Congress about NIL forever. So he said, creating clarity one lawsuit at a time is just a really bad way to try to move forward. And he says, I don't think you should be able, this was like back in 2020 or 2021. He says, I don't think you should be able to recruit with money. He said, I think you recruit with your school and your salesmanship, but then you get there and then you give them the opportunity to make money. And that's when he bemoaned schools buying a new player, new football team every year, and used the University of Indiana's football team, which has relied on dozens of transferred athletes to carry it to a 10-0 record, as an example of a team he claims was bought. Okay, so this must have been just recently. It wasn't in 2020 that happened. And I like that he called that out. I mean, we all know Ohio State. They came out and they said, oh, yeah, we bought a $20 million roster. And we're like, $20 million? That's ridiculous. Then it comes out that they paid even more. So, I mean, is there going to be an even playing field? I think that's what they're trying to work on. Tuberville is a former head coach. Yes, he is. That's right. I remember reading that. Okay, political views. This is why I was like, do we want to talk about this? He's a former Auburn coach. Very cool. Okay. You know what? You can tell Greg anything you want. Fred, how was your new job today? Did you like it? I'm anxious to know. I hope you liked it. Hope you're going back for a second day. Roger Moore, Landman. That's the movie series or the television series I was thinking of whenever I was reading about these guys. I'm like, this is insane. How they just went to all these little mom and pop little people to buy up their little portion of their property and piece it together. I guess maybe it was the Landman was made off of it. Who knows? Pit Snipe wants to know if you're fired yet, Fred. Okay. Pit Snipe Husker says it wasn't a political view that he was saying. It was a medical diagnosis. Are you a doctor? Should we call you Dr. Pitt? What do you guys think about all this? Oh. Pit Snipe Husker says, great series. If y'all ain't ever lived in the fields and worked with those folks, they are different. Taylor Sheridan, whom I love anything that he does, writes well, that which he knows well. I'm all in on Billy Bob. Me too. I'm surprising that I like Billy Bob in that role. So you have to watch it. It's on Paramount Plus, right? Or is it Apple TV? Yeah, it's basically this. All right. Jose, hi, go Big Red. Okay, so That was an interesting part. Not I mean, I thought perhaps okay, it is Paramount Plus. I thought perhaps we might talk about that just because it's kind of, like, new and we haven't said anything about it. We still don't know very much. We do know that Nick Saban went down to Texas. He met with Cody Campbell. It looks like Cody Campbell has agreed to be the co-chair of this, you know, I guess it's gonna be a government some sort of government, you know, commissioner type thing, co-commissioners for college football. It hasn't been announced yet, but this is all like in the works. And I think we all agree that, nobody wants the government involved. However, something needs to happen. Something needs to take place because as it is right now, we have 134 teams, 36 teams, and what, 53 NFL teams. So y- guys are making money now in college football more than they ever have. And that number just seems to keep going up and up, especially as they're figuring out more ways for us to get more college football playoffs, for us to get more bowl games, for us to get, you know, um, cross conference games. So it's pretty interesting how the money being made is just increasing so much. And then, we have this NCAA, um, the lawsuit for the $20 billion. So, yeah, I know, Aaron. Get on here. You're supposed to be here, dude. And I'll see you shortly. He says, Aaron Rastovsky is going to be a guest. He's going to be telling us about baseball because I know our guys are doing really well and we could possibly go to like the World Series, College World Series. He's going to fill us in on everything because that's not for me. But he says, I've had enough of old white men telling the college kids how they should be paid. I agree, but I do think that Nick Saban is going to make sure that they have the college kids' rights taken care of first. I think that's the most important thing. Um, when you're dealing with this much money, there's so many people sticking their hand out, and you do have to protect the kids. I call them kids, but they're adults when they sign contracts, and that's what NIL is. It's a contract. So, all right. Tony says SEC needs to go to 9 conference games, a 16-team playoff, hopefully both for 2026. Who's going to make them? Well, that's what this co what did I say it was? Co-commissioners? That's what they would be doing. Basically, these would be the rules then going forward. And 16-team playoff. Everybody got their panties all in a wad about, the ACC, Big 12. They're like, we only get 2 automatic bids in this. What do you think? You can't come down here, co-chairman. Is it a co-chairman? Co-chairs. You can't come down here. They were in Florida. You can't come down here and try and tell us what we're gonna do. Because they're like, we ought to get, if you're getting 4 each of you, we need to get at least 3. So they're like, what if the ACC and Big 12 just kind of like separated and formed their own little league? It could happen. I suppose. There's more power there than you would think. So it's good to have, this whole government forming hopefully what the NCAA was supposed to be, to my understanding, what they were supposed to be. Because, yeah, that first comment that I read there where it said, creating clarity, one lawsuit at a time is just a really bad way to try to move forward. And like I said, we have all these teams and all this money. We need to get our shit together. Excuse my French, but that is exactly what needs to happen. And I'm surprised that it hasn't happened yet. I'm doing okay, Pitt. All right, I'm done with that, unless anybody wants to talk about it. Aw. Thank you, Lemansky. He says, hello, Minnie, the classiest treasure in Nebraska and beyond from your big Hawkeye fan. I didn't know I had a Hawkeye fan. Thank you. I don't know. Did Fred bring you on? Fred wrote me an email telling me about his conversation with an Iowa Hawkeye fan this weekend, and I found it very funny that all the fans from outside of Nebraska think about us as delusional fans that live in 1995. I mean, it's true, some of us do, but you know, it's changing. Like I just said, the team as a whole, the leaders have decided, okay, no, these things need to change. We are going to take every opportunity outside of the program because we want this for ourselves, guys, right? And we're going to do whatever it takes. We're going to train extra. We're going to do all this. Speaking of training extra. Okay. Good question, Tony, but I don't know if we have time for that answer. Did you guys catch that? Okay, I know Dylan losing the weight was a big deal for us. Jose, at least you're honest. He says, I'm guilty of living in 1995. I mean, occasionally I like to go there too, and I wasn't even a fan in 1995. But all the talk about how amazing we were seems to be like, what draws us all together. Okay, so we have Rastovsky here. I'm going to just add him to the stage. Hello, Rastovsky.
Howdy.
Thanks for joining.
Absolutely.
Do you have any comments about what we were talking about with Nick Saban and Cody Campbell?
I actually didn't know anything about what you were talking about until I was just listening to you.
Okay. Oh, I'm teaching you something? That's like unheard of. You are like
going to log on 10 minutes ago, but
huh?
Taco Bell was exacting its revenge on me, so.
TMI. Okay. So, I have you for about 30 minutes, you said. How long will it take you to go through baseball?
Oh, I'm good now. I've got everything settled that I had to get settled, so however long you need me.
Okay. Well, since you're here, everyone's welcoming you. And Roger Moore says, Aaron, please share some thoughts from 1995.
I was a big Miami Hurricane fan back then, so.
You were
not
or weren't?
a Tommy Frazier fan.
Are you kidding me? What? You guys, did anyone know this?
Although 1995, Darren Erstad, roaming center field for Nebraska, so that was the first thing that got me involved in Nebraska athletics.
Okay. Wow.
I was 10 in 1995. Pitt.
You were 10? You're just a baby.
Yeah, I was a Miami fan because when they would come here for College World Series, I would. Back in that day, like no one knew who they were. They were just random kids roaming around Omaha, and so we'd go to like the mall or something, and all the Miami players would be hanging out at OC Mall or Crossroads Mall and get all their autographs and go eat pizza at Big Fred's. So that's how I got my forays into
I've been
Miami
to Big
athletics.
Fred's. I've been to Big Fred's.
And thoughts?
Greasy pizza.
It is. It's gone downhill since I think they changed owners like, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, and it's not quite as good, but it still gets a spot every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so cool. I'm like, oh, a place I know. Okay. Yeah, it's rare. I don't live in Nebraska, I have to admit. Never lived in Nebraska. Never thought I'd be a fan of Nebraska, but I am. I would love to live in Nebraska. And yeah, I feel like I've been adopted by the state of Nebraska. So
Yeah.
it works. Um, so yeah, there's that with Nick Saban and Cody Campbell that President Trump is going to I guess he's forming this, college football committee for what the NCAA was supposed to be. But the NCAA keeps losing their ass every time they go to court. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea is that you have a governing power, and yeah, what they say is supposed to, hold up. Nick Saban and Cody Campbell. Cody Campbell is like a billionaire from Texas. He went to Texas Tech. And of course, Nick Saban is as close as you can get to this whole problem. And I just think it's about time.
Yeah, just I don't know how much input they should give to some of the college kids, but I think they've got to have some sort of younger input on all those issues, because I mean, obviously you know exactly what those guys are going to say they want to have happen with the current climate, and I don't think that's the correct way to go.
You don't. What do you think is the correct way? What do you think is going to
I think
solve disparities?
I've always wanted the kids to get paid whatever the market thinks they should get paid, and I always liked the idea of getting more and more teams in the playoffs. So I'm one of the guys that I don't want like the 8-team playoffs or the 12-team playoffs. I want more. I want the NFL model. That's
Yeah. Or March Madness model, right?
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, why do we have to have automatic bids? I get why people are, a little ticked off about that. Is it to guarantee
Yeah.
ratings? Maybe that's the lens you have to look through. But it seems like a March Madness type thing that's worked for years, I might add, would just be fine and dandy.
And we'll get into, whenever we decide to switch topics, the format of baseball's championship this year, which was not good. Not good.
Oh, okay.
But sorry, don't mean to get us there yet. It's not time, but yeah, I don't know exactly what their goal is with their little subcommittee they've got going on, but I think there's got to be more than what's being represented there at the moment.
Yes, I agree.
I know that's just a starting spot, but
Yeah. I think it's important to have every team have kind of a table or a place at the table,
Yeah.
um, and equal. I know it sounds like, the big schools, the Notre Dames would probably not like to share a table with, I don't know, New Mexico State, something,
Yeah.
but it does need to happen. Everybody's voice should be heard. So, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I'm gonna follow it closely because I'm very, I don't know what the answer is. I came into this whole thing as a fan just 10 years ago, and when I started hearing about name, image, and likeness, I was like, okay, that's different. So kids are gonna get money to basically like advertise ketchup or like here, Aquaphor. I don't even think I should be advertising Aquaphor, but you know what I mean? Like that's what I envisioned, and it's nothing like that at all,
Yeah.
at all. I mean, there's full companies that have been formed just to collect the money and raise the money and then pay millions out. And it does need some guardrails. So,
And then
oh,
to
mhm,
talk about what Steven has said at 842, we've had blowouts in championship games of BCSs. So, I mean, adding more teams doesn't mean we're going to get more or less blowouts. So that doesn't bother me one bit.
mhm.
In fact, I was at a 2001 championship game between Miami and Nebraska where one team kind of got blown out. So,
Who
yeah,
who, pray tell, who?
let's let's just say that one team, the speed was very noticeably different on the guys in green.
Mm, great.
But yeah, I've never understood that argument because yeah, we've had blowouts. We've had what was it, 62 to 24, Nebraska over Florida in '95, and so there's always going to be blowouts. I don't really care if I just want more football, especially more playoff football at the teams' stadiums. That was the best. Seeing a playoff game at Notre Dame, that's great.
Hmm,
I'm
that's
sorry, I'm
awesome.
fiddling with my new toy.
What is that? What do you have?
The long lost bobblehead that I've been trying to get for
Ah,
years. One of the like really old timey Husker guys,
that's so
Bob
cool.
Serves. I've got a little bobblehead team up here above us,
Do
but
you
I can't spin my
seriously?
computer around to show you.
I
Yeah,
wanted I want I want bobbleheads. Do you get them? How do you get them? Do you just look for them, like, on
they have giveaways about lately. It's been about once a year. Back longer ago, it was like every 2-3 years.
Fred Sago says, "It seems like you take pleasure in us losing." Okay, then. Is that
Only
true?
when only when a particular quarterback and coach were on the field, but not a one guy I really didn't like. One guy just it was personal interactions with him that I didn't really care for.
Oh,
So I understand people like him, but I'm just not a fan of Solich.
okay. Now we're getting some people chiming in with their real opinions. I love how you kinda have to, like, kind of push people to say what they really think, which we're all family here. So you could just, yes, we will even accept some political jabs. Um, Fred
Well,
Sacco
the
says,
quarterback is Frazier
yeah,
that everyone's asking.
Oh, okay. Fred Sacco says too many games waters it down. 16 would be plenty. Okay, just playing the devil's advocate here. Is it too many games because you have 41, 42, 43 bowl games besides the other 16 games that are for the playoffs? Is that what makes it too many? Because if that is, then, yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of bowl games. And I think that, for a while there it seemed like they were going to the wayside, but for obvious reasons they can't. I mean, they make too much money. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, this year we had Snoop Dogg have his own bowl game in Tucson.
And Gronk had the LA Bowl or whatever it was.
Tony says,
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind having some bowls. It was getting to be way too many there for a while. Like the year that we made it as a 5-7 team, I'm glad we're in a bowl, but really, there's way too many bowls. As teams with just 5 wins are getting in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad I think there's a little bit fewer bowls than what there was at that point, but
Yeah, two less, just so you know. That's it. Tony says, I like 16, no buys for anyone. I agree. No buys. That's where things start looking very unfair. When one team, doesn't have fresh legs, et cetera, fresh knees, fresh.
Yeah,
You need.
that would be my probably ideal way to do it, is doing that and starting the first two rounds at the college campuses.
Mm-hmm. And Justin Raji says, definitely no more than 16. Oh, Husker Chuck, a mini bobblehead would probably sell very well. It actually would be interesting. Yeah, that would be an interesting experiment. You have a mini bobblehead on your desk. You can ask her anything, and she'll just be like, all right. Let's see here. I agree with Tony. I agree with that comment. He says never too much football, but some of those bowls may go away unless 5 and 7 teams are getting in. Yeah, I like that.
I think that's basically where I'm at. Yeah. It's good to see the little teams from the little conferences get into play some big guys every once in a while, but most of the time they put those guys against little teams too. So I mean, that's not as fun. You want to see those guys take on the big dogs.
Yeah. I always, my daughters tell me that I'm so full of cliches, that they're so sick of it. But I can't help it, especially when it comes to sports. I remember my softball coach, who also was my basketball coach, because I grew up in a small town. I remember her saying, and she's just this little person, and she'd be waving her finger up at us, and I'm like 5 foot nothing, and she's even shorter than me. She'd be, any team can be beat on any given day. And she said it so much to us that we believed it. But we also did the things that Nebraska is doing. We would go in to early morning practices and we would stay late. We'd practice in the summer when, you weren't supposed to be practicing. We did you have to be that hungry that you're going to take every advantage you can. And that's why I'm so glad to see that our guys are finally doing that. I mean, we kind of thought they were last year, with Dylan Raiola taking the 6 players down to Texas with them, but that's kind of like more of a getaway, like, oh, let's go play football in Texas and a new stadium. But this is like hardcore. They are definitely doing some extra training. And when I say extra training, I mean boxing.
Yeah, it was kind of hard last year because you presumed Dylan was going to be the starting quarterback, obviously, but you can't just kind of like name a guy that's never been on campus or played a down team leader or whatever. So, I mean, now they've got obviously the guy that's going to be the guy. So they're a little more organized, a little more following along with the Pied Piper, I guess, if you would say. But I think
Everything's
that's
methodical. I feel like
yeah,
every decision that's made is methodical because they, like I said earlier, they chose 7 leaders. Well, Dylan's one of them. So the other 6 are 3 offensive leaders and 3 defensive leaders. They're spread equally. 2 seniors and a junior on one team or one side, and 2 juniors and a senior on the other side. Like, it's as equal as they could make it. Like, it's, you know, and they're after these guys. So a total of 7. And you divide that into, what do we have? 120 something on our roster right now. So they're all in charge
I
of,
think so.
Maybe 10 guys or something, 12 guys. I can't do the math, but I think that's really awesome. That's how it should be.
Yeah,
And they're practicing whenever the coaches aren't there.
yeah, it's kind of getting back to the old Unity Council days. But the olden teams under Osborne always had the Unity Council of, I forget exactly how many guys were on that. It was somewhere around the 7 to 10 range, I believe. That they were the guys that were kind of the intermediaries between the coaches and players and got everything organized on the players' end. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people in the chat a lot more knowledgeable than me about that since I was so young. But I
You're just
remember
a baby.
I remember lots of people regarding the people on those Unity councils very, very
Mhm.
heavily. Because
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't just the stars, it wasn't just offense, it wasn't just defense. It was guys
Yeah,
representing every facet of the team.
that's what I'm talking about. It's not just the stars. I mean, because if it was, you'd have, I can think of a bunch of guys right off the top of my head. I mean,
All the millionaires.
they have 2 offensive linemen. So I'm very happy about that. Okay. I have to show a comment from the voice of college football. He's in the chat. Hi, Mark. He says, talking Nebraska and bowl games, I hear. It's a joy that comes around every 6 to 7 years. Wah, wah. I'm really fed up with being the punching bag across the nation. Nebraska better be good in my lifetime. I want to be able to know what it feels like, to know what a double-digit winning season would feel like. I have no idea. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, it was crazy when I moved over here in '98, but we were always fairly close to Nebraska when we were living. Yeah, the 3 years before that, they were what would have been like 40 something and 3 of those combined. No, it'd be more than that. It'd be 50 something and 3.
Mm.
Just even the Alabama teams of today, of recent memory, didn't have stats like that. So even to get back to, dare I say, Bo level of success would be a nice stepping stone. 16-3, there we go.
You say this, and the way you're saying it, Rastovsky, it kind of sounds like you're an old timer. Like you're a newer fan-ish, right? but you're stuck in an old-timers mindset because things are never going to be back to the way they were in the 90s, especially in college football. The Alabamas, I honestly think that given the landscape of college football, that it's just a matter of time before, like, I think there's going to be one, just like the NFL, there's going to be one team that's really good, maybe for like 1 or 2, maybe 3 years at the most. And then they're just going to be forgotten about. I really think that is more likely to happen than the domination that happened in the 90s for Nebraska. And I just put in a link into the chat if anyone would like to join our little conversation here. Again, you could be put on camera or you don't have to be. You can actually choose not to be. It's totally up to you, but we'd love to have you. And since we're taking just a quick break, then we're going to talk about baseball, I promise. I have some news for you guys. So I talked with John about a week and a half ago. Everything's great. John's great. Didn't want to worry anybody. And he said to me that he is giving me the Monday night show. Monday Night Therapy. It's mine. He goes, I'll be a guest, but it's your show. I want you to do it the way you want to do it. So, lucky me, this is going to be fun. I was thinking about this, and of course, I'm going to leave it up to you guys, but I kind of feel like Monday Night Therapy, just the name, has a negative connotation because it sounds like we need therapy after the weekend, okay? And maybe we do in another way, but you know how I pointed out last year on our schedule how we never had it listed that the national championship game was on December or January, whatever it was, and everybody else does, or a lot of teams do. And I thought that was, I mean, you have to kind of expect good things to happen. So if you guys are open to it, I'd like to keep Monday night, whatever, but maybe drop the therapy, or you guys can come up with your own ideas. And no, I'm not wanting to change it to Monday Night Sunshine and Rainbows or Good Vibes Only, guys. But I would like to, I don't know, like Monday Night Mania or I don't know, something fun. But I'll leave it up to you guys. What do you think?
We got homework.
I know.
I know, that's a good one to think about.
Everyone's so clever. So, and John is fine. He's totally fine. Yes, he will be doing his shows from the bathroom. That's a must. He loves doing those raw reaction videos, and he'll keep at that, as well as he'll be here. Actually, you know what I'm going to try and do? I'm going to try and have the original, like, Todd and John come on one night. We'll see. But Todd has also warned me he has no interest in college football until the season starts because of all this garbage that we've been talking about. He can't stand it.
I'd buy that.
I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people who can't stand this change that's going on. I mean, it's not so much that it's change, right? It's just that it's constant change. We don't know from one year to the next what we're doing, what the rules are.
Mm-hmm.
And if we feel that way as fans, imagine how the coaches feel.
I think Pitt needs his therapy, yeah.
So if I don't get my therapy, y'all don't want to know what's going to happen. Did I say that right?
I didn't know Pitt was from so far down south.
Yeah. Well, that's how we wrote it. All right. So you guys can just let me know either, Thursday night, you can let me know now. Don't change the name. ever, Minnie, or I'm coming after you. Monday night. Yeah, that's a good name. Prostate. That's extremely positive. Monday night prostate exam. I don't know if that has a ring to it. Perhaps we could work on it. It's a working title. So you want to fill us in on what is going on with our baseball guys?
Sure. Well, the Big Ten tournament starts tomorrow. Different from past years with the added West Coast teams. They spent all of the last year trying to figure out what they were going to do. When the media was there last year at this time, we're like, what's it going to be next year? And they're like, oh, well, I don't know. We're still trying to figure it out. And so they spent all this time and they came up with a really terrible way to do it. So they basically copied the old way that the SEC and ACC did things, which is 4 days of pool play. So there's 3 teams in each pool, and you get they each are guaranteed 2 games, and then the winner of each pool will get into a little 4-team tournament on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, wow!
Which in and of itself is okay, but then they figured out the tiebreaker. So obviously, so there's 12 teams this year, and up from the 8 that were in all the previous years. And so if you go 2-0 in your pool, obviously you're going on to that championship bracket.
Mm-hmm.
But if they all go 1-1, then the highest seed automatically advances, which that's the tiebreaker, is how high your seed is, which is just asinine in my eyes. I get the reason they're doing it is because that gets better RPIs into the final bracket to hopefully boost RPIs and get more at-large teams. So I get why they're doing it. I just think it's a really terrible way to do a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the number's good, the 12 out of 17. I think they got that right, because you want to have a good amount of teams in there, but not the
whole.
I think Ohio State ended up 4-18 or something like that in league play.
You hear that, Mark? So, if you're still here, Ohio State wound up 4-18.
But one of those 4 wins came on the final day of the season, which boosted us into the 8th seed, which is in my eyes the best seed to get for like one of the lower teams.
What?
Because that puts us into, we get to play 2 night games. So we play tomorrow night at 6:00. So all the fans get to go to work, come down to the ballpark, hopefully pack the chuck, and then we get 2 days off. So I mean, we can throw all of our bullpen tomorrow night just to be sure to win. Because obviously, if we lose tomorrow night, then the best case scenario is all the teams go 1-1, and we obviously don't move forward at that point. So it's basically win or go home, the whole shebang right now. So yeah, with the 8th seed, we get to play tomorrow night, and then we'll also play Friday night when we'll be taking on number 1 Oregon, who, since they're the top seed, they're automatically going to be in with their RPI in the NCAA tournament. So they might be on somewhat of like a pitch count watching their pitchers, since they don't even really start playing the good teams until Friday and potentially Saturday, Sunday if they make it into the tournament. So we're going to play the bad team tomorrow night at 6, and then we're going to play the best team, hopefully when they're starting to manage things, looking forward to next week and not getting anyone too taxed. So I think that's a good break for the 8th seed to give us 2 days off, get the night games, and hopefully get the best team when they're in a little bit of a manage the pitcher situation.
Okay, so I was hitting on Ohio State, and Mark says, the voice of college football, says, did I hear 8 seed? That's what the football team was seeded. Well, yeah, that sounds like, I mean, I guess, is this more games than they've ever played or something?
So when Nebraska won it last year, they lost the first game, and since they had to come all the way from the losers bracket, they had to win 5 games in a row. So they had to play 6 games, and that just, I mean, we had a great pitching staff, and other than that first game, they were really on fire the whole week. So we had the pitching staff to do it last year, but they don't want to tax pitchers this year. So the maximum amount of games you can play is 4,
Okay.
and everyone's guaranteed 2 at least with the pool play.
Got it.
So I mean, that aspect of it's nice,
Okay.
but like the SEC and ACC this year, like right after we announced that we were doing that, announced that they were changing from that format to just doing like how Big Ten basketball does it, where like the lowest, I think they have 6, I forget how many make it in basketball, but I think they have like the 9 through 12 play 8 through 5, and then the winners of that advance to the next round and play the higher seed, and then the winners of that advance to the higher seed. So
Okay.
I think that's the better way to do it, the single elimination tournament at that point. So you could fly all the way here, play one game, and have to go right back home. But I think that's a more fair way to do it than just advancing the top seed, even if it's a tie.
Yeah, I thought I heard him say that. Rastovsky, Saka
Floor
wants
play.
to know, did you say floor play?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you let that slip out?
I only pay attention to half of what I say, so.
Well, okay, so Husker Chuck says Nebraska has to win 4 straight to continue its season.
Yep. Yeah, really only Oregon and UCLA are guaranteed to be in the NCAA tournament. Iowa was the 3rd team in the conference to be tied on the last day going into the last day. They were tied for 1st. But their RPI is like 75, I think, which is a joke. Their strength of schedule is just terrible. And even at the end of the year, they were canceling games against lesser schools to try and keep their RPI up, because even if they would have played like one of the lower division, like Division II schools in Iowa, they had scheduled on there to play. Sorry, my voice is going. They had scheduled some lower division teams that would have just killed their RPI if they played them, and so they just canceled the game with them to try and protect their RPI, which is crap. So yeah, everyone other than UCLA and Oregon has to probably win out to advance into the NCAA.
And this is my thought exactly. It says baseball has got to be hard. Actually, I'll do this in his accent. Baseball has got to be hard to stay invested in as a commentator. Kidding. I'm kidding, Pitt. Baseball.
I'll be at the park all day tomorrow from. Yeah. It's not as long as it used to be when they tried to get in 4 games a day. There's lots of rain on the schedule tomorrow, so if it hits, there could be a big time delay in the proceedings. But yeah, there was a few years where I'd get to the ballpark at like 7:30 for the 8 o'clock games. They give us breakfast up in the press box, and we're there 8 o'clock games. And there was a couple of times where it didn't start. You could not start a game after midnight, was the Big Ten rule. And there was a couple of times where they started one at like 11:58 just to get it in, and we were there. I got home because I live about 25 minutes from the ballpark. I got home at about 3 o'clock a couple nights. It was crazy.
Mark says that he did enjoy covering college baseball in the SEC. Never paid attention to it before that. And somebody else shows up in chat. Hello, Greg. He says, being a baseball radio announcer was awesome. It's so relaxed and conversational. I have a feeling that Greg would say being any announcer It's awesome. He just likes to announce.
I feel like baseball guys almost feel like they should be. Our guys are pretty animated and hyped up, but I feel like most baseball announcers should just have like a lazy boy or something they're sitting in while they're talking on the old Dodger announcer, and even Lane Grindle. I think that's up with the Brewers right now since gosh, what's the guy that the old announcer Bob Uecker died. Lane Grindle's taken over his spot.
Oh,
Former
okay.
Nebraska announcer.
It's hard for me to get into baseball. Not gonna lie. It happens to be one of the few things that I just can't, no matter how hard I try. It just seems like it takes forever, and there's not a whole lot going on.
Well, I've been going to with the College World Series being here. We used to go, and the earliest I can remember is '88. I would have been 3, and man, you had before it got big and corporate, and
Uh-huh.
you had the run of the park almost. It was crazy, but just they kept getting more and more popular, and then finally ESPN bought it from CBS, and a whole bunch of corporations got in. You used to get in for like $4 for the whole day, and now it's like $50 per game or something like that if you're in the same seats that we were in back in the day.
Yeah. Well, that ties into what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
So if there's more money being made, these athletes, I mean, somebody's got to try to regulate it. Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking, Greg, you missed it. I'll explain it to you and anybody else that has gotten here a little late. I'm thinking of maybe dropping the therapy part from Monday Night Therapy. I know, Greg, you hate change, but since I feel like this is kind of like a rebirth, just hear me out. Nebraska is doing things that we have never done before to win, and I just feel like it's a good, like, energy to get rid of that. Therapy is for people that need help because they had a horrible team that they watched on Saturday. We're not that group anymore. So I was thinking we could just let the chat rename it if they want. So, and there's been a couple of suggestions already, and I will share those. Says, actually, would you mind reading this for me since I don't use OI words?
Ooh, Monday night groin pull.
Yeah, actually, I like the way you said it. It sounds like a WWE wrestling match, and I love that.
Yeah, there we
Like
go.
that's the kind of energy I want. Okay, so since you did it in that voice, can you do this one too?
Ooh, you're tuning into the Monday night hooch and gooch.
Does not sound as
You
good.
have to go get a different drink.
Okay, and go ahead on this one. Good luck.
You are looking live at Monday Night Poise. I guess I'm just going with all the different announcers' intros now.
This is probably Fred's best one.
Minnie's Monday Musings, maybe moist. I do love some alliteration.
That's actually really clever. Maybe a little hard to explain though. Like I just wanted to kind of say what we're doing here. All right. I do like happy hour. I do. I love the idea of a party celebration, but happy hour is already taken by Andy. And I don't know if he's planning on going and using that anymore, but
Probably in the
no,
offseason.
huh?
So probably in the offseason he might bring that back once Husker Heat's over.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we
Yes.
should
Tell
start
us
getting on to
about
those girls.
softball. Tell us about the girls, because there was a question here that wants to know about, is the women softball, is it in Omaha? I guess. What did I do with that?
No, so the Women's College World Series is down in Stillwater. It's not quite to that point yet. They're playing the Super Regional, so it's the best. Each team is playing the best 2 out of 3 for the right to go to Stillwater. And so Nebraska's matched up against Tennessee. Nebraska really, they did kind of get lucky, but I mean, they were blowing teams out the way they were rolling, so I don't think it would have mattered either way. I think they were coming out of that regional no matter what, but they got lucky in that the little sister school of Southeast Louisiana really took it to the big sister LSU, and then we just throttled them the 2 times that we played Southeast Louisiana. So I actually have to miss most of the Big Ten baseball tournament, which I haven't missed a game of the Big Ten baseball tournament. Let's see, my oldest kid's 7. I haven't missed a game in the Big Ten baseball tournament in 11 years. And so I have to go down to, my niece is graduating high school, so we're all going down to Texas this week.
Fun.
And so we'll be coming back up on May 29th, which is the first day of the Women's College World Series in Stillwater, and potentially driving right by Stillwater. So if Nebraska makes it that far, hopefully we'll be swinging by and
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be nice to kind of fit that in? Okay. So just so you know, there's some people actually that do pay attention to softball. And I know that Andy talks about it also on Tuesday nights. So there's a show. It's called Husker Heat on Coronation Tuesday nights. And he covers all that stuff, right, Rastovsky?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. I have a very, very limited knowledge of the team, but I like to watch them anytime that there's not baseball going on, but I like watching I've got ESPN Plus, so I was watching all sorts of softball this weekend on ESPN Plus.
Okay, and earlier, Rastovsky was showing us his bobblehead, and somebody said in the chat that they should make a mini bobblehead, and then people started talking about Greg's big head. Roger Moore said, the Greg bobblehead comes with a case of beer. I'm doing this for you, Greg. And Fred says, the Greg bobblehead also comes with world-weary slight balding spot he's got from tearing hair out on Thursday nights. And the voice of college football says, would the hair flop back and forth on the mini bobblehead? You'd have to have the loose hair. Okay. And the last comment that I want to show for tonight is Matt's. He says you should call it Huskers and Hooters. And Matt, you have no idea how close I was. Kidding. But I do have a little story about Hooters that I would like to share. So I have a friend, a lot of my friends are in the artist world, if you will. Either artists or here. Basically, these are my groups of friends, and the two shall never pass. The two shall never But so he does sign painting. He's the Arizona sign painter guy. And he told me about this restaurant that he did called Ojos Locos, which means crazy eyes in Espanol. It's a Mexican cantina that offers like sports, tacos, and drinks. And I was with my girlfriend on Saturday, and it was about lunchtime, and we were thinking, okay, let's just go grab something to eat. But we wanted to sit down, and we were by this restaurant. I said, my friend told me about this place, and I've wanted to check out his work that he did there. But he said it's kind of like the Mexican Hooters. So I said, it's up to you if you want to go. And she's like, oh, yeah, we can go. I've been in a Hooters before. Very, like, it's kind of like what kids wear these days. That's what everybody looks like. And so I was not like, oh, no, let's not go to Hooters, Mexican Hooters. So we walk in, and right outside they have, that Mexican music that's all upbeat and just happy. And it's like, it's a party already. Then you open up the doors and you walk in, and we are greeted by butt cheeks about like this. I don't even know how to describe, but this girl was wearing a bikini, and her rear was facing the door. And my girlfriend and I look at each other, and I'm like, oh, like a G-string bikini. And we're like, are we going to do this? And before we could turn around and change our minds, another waitress comes up and just is all bubbly and happy, and takes us to our table and stuff. And I'm like looking around, and this place is packed. And I'm like, what is the secret? Because none of these girls are what I would call real fit. I don't know how to describe it, but they were very voluptuous in certain spots. And I'm just like, what is their secret? How do they all look like this? It's insane. And I'm just like, oh, to each his own. I mean, there are guys and girls there. They're all having a good time, and it's a sports cantina. So if you guys ever come to the Southwest, look out for Ojos Locos, the crazy eyes. The Mexican Hooters. That's a little more risque, if you will.
Noted.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I did not call the wait. No, that's the thing that I could not get. Not one of them had cellulite, you guys. And you could see all of it. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like, wow, I was very impressed. I don't know what they do, but maybe it's that Mexican food. Maybe I should change my diet. Go on a Mexican food eating diet. That's what happens. And then you become very voluptuous in certain areas. No, I did not go home wearing glitter. I went there wearing glitter. Kidding. All right. Well, I guess that's it. If you guys think of a name, if you're okay with dropping the therapy, I'm okay with it. And we'll get through this. We'll still have some therapy, just hopefully not as much. So come up, put your thinking caps on. I would really love to hear your ideas for Minnie's Monday nights. And it doesn't even have to be Minnie's Monday nights. It doesn't even have to be Minnie. But it would be nice if it had Huskers in it, something about the Huskers, and Monday nights. So those are my only two things that I'm asking for. Okay, Pitt, but you could be the lone person. He says, I am not okay with dropping therapy. I'm not okay. Kidding. I get that. Okay. But, change is hard sometimes for some people, especially if you're in the Midwest. I get that. Nobody here to say boo to me. I know what you guys are thinking. Like, she just slammed us. Okay. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. Put your thinking caps on. If you have any ideas, let me know. Nebraska Rascal showed up. He says, Hooters food is terrible. I love Mexican food much better. Yeah, that's why you go there, for the food. You guys, they served, well, first of all, I've never been to a Mexican food restaurant that doesn't just serve chips and salsa. What's that? I've never been to, you had to order it special. So once they brought the chips and salsa out, I'm like, okay, that's a different, I like most salsas, like all salsas. I do not discriminate. But I've never in my life had hot salsa, meaning hot like they just took it off the stove.
Oh, yeah.
It was different. I don't really like it. The hot
There's a
salsa.
few places that I've been to that have it like that. Down on 24th Street in South Omaha, where all the higher rate of Hispanic people live. I can't remember which spot, but I've had it that way a few times. And yeah, I don't. However you want to give it to me, I'll take it.
That's a good one, Matt. He says, "How about rants and runzas? Do you think they'll sponsor us? Rants and runzas." I like where you're thinking. I like any name that has like, the beginning of the first or the first letter of the
Alliteration.
words are the same. Yes, I love that. Any of that I love. And no, not Minnie's fat waitress hour. And if you're gonna call them fat, you need to call them PHAT fat. Because they were very good looking girls. That's all I'm gonna say. I do check messages and I'll get back to you, I promise. Thanks, Pitt. Okay, this is the last comment, I promise. He says, how about Monday night shitbag ripoff of what John did? We may go with that one. We may go with that one. That is a good one. I mean, why not? But it didn't have anything to say about the Huskers. That's the only problem. Love you, Pitt. All right. I'm going to say goodnight, guys. Rastovsky, thank you for the update with baseball and softball. I could not have done that. And for just, having somebody to bounce conversations off of. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you.
Anytime.
Yeah. You're welcome
I'll
back
be
in.
on Twitter all week, as much baseball as I can watch, even though I'm not technically there most of the time. So follow along on coordination.
Yes. I will for sure. Not. But you guys do, because I mean, what if? You'll let us know. Okay, once we get down to the winning 3, we're in. We're watching. We're all watching.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you that. Okay.
Need a couple things to fall into place, and we've got a good chance, I think.
Yay. And that's pretty exciting. So we'll be looking for that. And I just wanted to say, everybody, have a great week. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you for being part of this community and for showing up and giving me hell for wanting to do anything different ever. But thank you. And I appreciate all of you. And go Big Red.
Go Big Red.